Mteto Nyati, the chairman of Eskom, please really join me on stage, because if he has collaborated and helped on one thing, it is 6 months without load shedding. The impossible made possible.
And last night I attended a conversation between the Eskom chairperson, Mteto Nyati, as well as Bruce Whitfield, the famous radio presenter. The format for the conversation was that it was the launch of Bruce's book, The One Thing. As the chairperson for Eskom, there was questions posed to him about the fact that we have had no load shedding and what has actually happened at Eskom. Basically asking, is the lights going to stay on, or was this just a facade? We were all worried when the elections happened earlier this year, thinking, it was just a ploy by government to keep the lights on, and then as soon as the elections are done, the load shedding is going to start again. And then surprisingly, the lights stayed on. I kind of assumed that it was a result of the GNU, the Government of National Unity. Somehow that was the reason for the lights staying on.
It started when we were brought in as the board of Eskom in 2022.
And what month was that?
October 2022.
October 22,
yeah.
So it's 2 years.
And him and the team started looking at a problem statement as to what is the actual underlying problem at Eskom.
We are broken, we need a bailout. That's a rough summary, as I remember it.
Yeah.
So what was wrong in that statement? Because there are various facts in there which are accurate,
the problem
but
statement,
it didn't define the problem properly.
Aging fleet, and the answer to that aging fleet, that's the problem statement. The answer to that, we need to retire the fleet. You cannot, it's like throwing good money after bad. No, don't waste your money there. Right, that was the prevailing view. And let's allow the private sector, of course, to do what they know how to do and provide us with renewables. And Eskom don't participate. If you look and play that forward,
Eskom's out of business in what, 10 years?
Eskom is going to be out of business because all of these power stations are going to get to end of life.
Yeah.
And then what? Then what's your responsibility as a board?
But him and the team said that that's an incorrect problem statement. The original problem being, how can they actually renew this and how can they perform the maintenance that's needed to get these power plants actually going again as optimally as they should. So together with working with the team, they found out that actually they needed to get to work with the original manufacturers of the power plant, which I believe are foreigners. I think it's German, but they faced opposition within the policy in South Africa because people were saying that they're not using local talent.
They should be working with you to maintain the original equipment manufacturer, but you are prevented from doing that because it's a policy decision around localization, around this and this and that. And then you say, no, we have to get rid of this policy.
And that requires political intervention.
That requires an engagement with the politicians.
But they managed to get around that, managed to bring in the guys that actually helped to develop the plant. So over this 2-year period, getting disciplines, getting things right, and taking the leadership that was actually required, they've managed to steer the ship. And coincidentally, maybe this turnaround has happened at the exact time as we have the Government of National Unity. Don't get me wrong, I love the GNU. I'm loving what they're doing. This is a good news story that Eskom should be telling, but it's paired with the GNU, so it doesn't really get as much weight as it should. Mr. Nyati was absolutely amazing. He was very candid, very honest, but very well weighted in his words in how he actually communicated. As he explained some of the problems that Eskom was facing, the cost structure that they have, their own internal challenges that they're experiencing, and actually asking for tariff hikes. Now, I am not happy with tariff hikes at all because of past corruption and incompetence that has happened. I don't know if my bank account is going to be very happy with this, but hearing him speak helped to give a bit more understanding as to the position that they're in and how we have to kind of pull the weight together as South Africans. They also spoke about contracts that were signed with independent power producers during the load shedding period to help to get the supply, and then how that's at a higher cost and how there's limitations on renegotiating those contracts just because of the nature of contracts.
Numbers, but 2-3 rand a kilowatt.
And the kind of contract that we have is called take or pay.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether it's needed or not, we pay as Eskom, right? So if we've got a lot of energy like we have now, we are forced to prioritize this high cost energy, which is really a painful thing and quite demotivating to us, our reality.
And one can't renegotiate those contracts because
No,
the moment
we
you try and
can't.
do that, you then
We can't.
accuse of bad faith.
Rule of law and this,
Yeah.
respecting of contracts, and we should be respecting contracts.
So if these guys have a take it or pay policy over here, it would make sense for Eskom to purchase that electricity because they're going to spend it anyway, and rather leave some of their power stations idle so that they can do maintenance on it.
When last did we use open cycle gas turbines, burn diesel to make electricity?
Last week.
Last week.
Yeah.
So occasionally you need to bring in the big guys.
Open cycle gas turbines were designed for
We
peak,
use
for
peak.
morning and evening peak.
Yeah.
That's what they were designed for. We have been using them in the past. We've been using them for the purpose that they were never intended
Yeah.
for. So basically, if you look at what is called a load factor, supposed to use them 6%, called 6% load factor. How we've been using them in the past, close to about 25%.
There was a joke that was in the crowd that people weren't ready just yet to delete the Eskom push app because people are wary of whether load shedding is actually going to be returning. I get the sense that there is a positivity that maybe we can actually be turning things around and South Africa has a great future ahead. And if I had to choose between the negativity that we've had over the last 15 years versus this glimmer of hope that we could possibly have a future, a bright one, we work together, I'm opting for the hope. So.
Right now, we are not cracking the whip or this and that. People they're just excited. They are competing.
Success breeds success, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're competing. My power station can do this. It's excellence. All of this is excellence. And that's what you want, creating a culture of high performance. But it also means that you don't take credit for the work that they have done. You are able to recognize them, give them the credit, and continue to support them. They will do great things for you.
Bruce and Teto, thank you so much for that conversation that you guys had. And I look forward to having ongoing electricity, albeit probably going to be at a significantly more expensive cost. But if it means that's what we need to do for this country to thrive and to survive, and to fight against corruption and to get things going in both, then so be it. Let's make it work.
If you consider that what seemed impossible in March this year, which was of course going to end the moment elections were over, and it didn't, and the lights have stayed on, what else could we achieve if we applied our minds to it?
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.